The grand ballroom of the Lancaster estate glittered under the shimmer of golden chandeliers. Guests in designer suits and silk gowns swirled around the dance floor, their laughter echoing off marble pillars. It was the kind of night where champagne flowed like rivers and egos sparkled brighter than the diamonds adorning every woman's neck. Among the glittering crowd stood Alexander Lancaster, the heir to a fortune built on generations of old money. Tall, impeccably dressed, and strikingly handsome, Alexander carried an arrogance that filled the room like perfume, intoxicating yet suffocating. His every movement spoke of superiority, his every glance, judgment. Tonight, however, his sharp blue eyes landed on someone he never imagined noticing, a maid. Her name was Amara. She moved quietly, gracefully balancing a silver tray as she weaved through the guests, serving drinks and collecting empty glasses. Her dark skin glowed under the golden lights, and her deep brown eyes reflected the same fire that burned in her soul. She wasn't just a maid, she was a dreamer, an artist in disguise. Back home, before life pushed her into servitude, she had danced, and not just danced, but lived through rhythm. Tango was her soul's language. But dreams, as she had learned, did not feed the stomach. Alexander's laughter drew attention as he and his friends whispered cruel jokes about her. "Look at her," one sneered, "she carries herself like she's at a royal ball." Alexander chuckled, swirling his drink. "Maybe she thinks she can dance with me next." Imagine that, a maid dancing the tango with a millionaire. His friends burst into laughter. The mockery burned Amara's ears, but she kept her head low. Yet something in her heart stirred, a mix of humiliation and pride. When the evening's entertainment began, a live tango band filled the room with sultry, passionate notes. The couples on the floor moved in elegant sync, their steps deliberate and fiery. Amara's fingers twitched with memory, her body yearned to move, to breathe that rhythm again. But she was invisible in that world, a shadow meant to serve, not to shine. Then, out of nowhere, a voice cut through the music. "You there," Alexander said, pointing at her with his champagne glass. "You look like you want to dance." The crowd turned, gasping and giggling. Amara froze. "Sir, she stammered. "Come on," Alexander grinned cruelly. "If you can dance this tango better than my date here, I'll give you a raise. Heck, I'll even marry you." The room exploded in laughter. It was a cruel dare, meant to humiliate. His date smirked, whispering, "Oh, this should be amusing." But Amara didn't flinch. Something inside her ignited, dignity, pride, and that buried artist's fire. She placed her tray on a table, straightened her uniform, and stepped toward the dance floor. The room went silent, the air heavy with disbelief. Alexander raised an eyebrow but extended his hand, amused by her boldness. "You sure, maid?" he teased. Amara met his gaze and said quietly, "If I dance this tango, you'll regret mocking me." The band began to play again, the rhythm deep and sensual. As the first note struck, Amara's body came alive. Her movements flowed like water, sharp and precise, yet full of emotion. Every step, every spin carried a story, one of struggle, pain, and pride. Alexander started the dance mockingly, but as she moved, something shifted in him. Her confidence, her grace, her command of rhythm, it was hypnotic. His arrogance faltered, replaced by awe. The crowd watched in stunned silence as the maid turned the ballroom into her stage. When the final note echoed, Amara ended the dance with a breathtaking pose, her hand resting against Alexander's chest, her eyes locked onto his. The entire room erupted in applause. For a moment, Alexander just stood there, speechless. The same man who had mocked her now felt his heart pounding like the music itself. "That was," he began, but words failed him. Amara simply bowed, picked up her tray, and returned to her duties as though nothing had happened. For days afterward, Alexander couldn't stop thinking about her. He asked the head butler for her name. He learned that Amara worked double shifts, sent money back home to support her younger siblings, and lived in a small room behind the estate. The more he learned, the heavier his guilt became. His shallow arrogance began to crumble. One evening, he found her cleaning the ballroom alone. "Amara," he said softly. She turned, surprised. "I owe you an apology." She paused, unsure if he was mocking her again. "You don't owe me anything, sir," she said, her voice calm but distant. "I do," he insisted. I was wrong. You're incredible. She smiled faintly, but her eyes stayed guarded. It's easy to apologize when everyone's watching, she replied. But respect is shown when no one is looking. Her words cut deeper than she knew. Days turned into weeks, and Alexander found reasons to see her, small excuses, meaningless orders that turned into long conversations. He learned about her life, her dreams, her love for dance. Slowly, the walls between wealth and poverty, power and servitude, began to fall. One evening, he surprised her by bringing a pair of dance shoes. You shouldn't have to dance in silence, he said. Teach me. And so, night after night, they danced in secret. Under the moonlight that spilled into the empty ballroom, a millionaire and a maid found a rhythm that made them equals. With every step, Alexander changed, not just in how he saw her, but in how he saw himself. He began using his wealth to fund dance schools for underprivileged children, inspired by Amara's story. But their world wasn't kind. When the family found out, scandal erupted. You're throwing away your name for a maid, his mother spat. You'll shame us all. Alexander stood firm. She taught me more about grace than any of your lessons ever did. Amara tried to walk away, not wanting to ruin his life, but he stopped her. You said if you danced this tango, I'd regret mocking you, he said, smiling softly. You were right. Because now I can't imagine my life without you. On the night of the next grand ball, the guests gathered again, this time to witness something no one expected. The same ballroom, the same chandeliers, but a different story. The music began, and once again, Amara took the floor, not as a maid, but as the bride of the men who had once mocked her. The crowd watched, not laughing this time, but standing in awe as the two danced their tango, a dance that had started in humiliation but ended in redemption, love, and respect. When the music faded, Alexander kissed her hand and whispered, You didn't just dance the tango, Amara. You danced your way into my soul. The applause was thunderous, but Amara's smile said it all. She hadn't married money, she had transformed a heart. Months after their wedding, Alexander and Amara opened a dance academy for poor children. The same society that once mocked her now applauded her grace. As they danced their first tango before the students, Alexander whispered, You didn't just change my heart, you changed lives. Amara smiled, tears shining. The maid became a legend, proving love and dignity could rise above wealth.